Hey guys, it is Christian here, and today I'm going to be doing my Oscar predictions for August. Before I get into this, please like, subscribe, and tell me what you think of this video. Wow. Gotta get my water in case I need it. But yeah, I'm gonna do my Oscar predictions for August, and this is the first time I'm doing every single category. I'm not just doing the above the line categories like I did last time. I'm actually going to be doing the technical categories: casting, documentary, international, animated. Not gonna do the. I don't do the shorts until the very end, so we're not doing those. But we're doing every single other category, and a lot has happened since I last did these. We've had festival lineups, Venice lineup, TIFF lineup, New York Film Festival lineup. We've had movie releases, big movie releases, The Odyssey. So I just say we get right into this with Best Picture. I have to say, this season is crowding up really quickly. There are so many movies that I want to squeeze into this top 10, but I know I can't. And I should just go over briefly how I did at this point last year. Last year I was 4 out of 10, which is not great. I had Sinners, which got in, Sentimental Value, which got in, Jay Kelly, which did not, that got goose egg, Marty Supreme, which got in, Begonia, which got in, Testament of Family, which was also a goose egg, Rental Family, goose egg, Wicked for Good, goose egg, Springsteen, goose egg, and then it was just an accident, which just got international screenplay. As for the Best Picture nominees I missed, I had One Battle at number 11, silly me, Frankenstein at number 12, I had Hamnet at number 16, Secret Agent at number 19, F1 at 22, and I didn't even have Train Dreams on my list. There are some years where it's just super predictable, like all the heavy hitters end up hitting and they all get in. And then there are some years where it's just crazy, and this could be one of those years because there's so much. But let's just get my picture predictions out of the way. I think The Odyssey is the clear frontrunner right now. I don't want to say the Best Picture race is over because it's August. We still have a long way to go, and so there's still room for something else to come in and win. But hello, Mitchell. But The Odyssey is clearly has everything it needs. It's gonna be a $1 billion movie. Audiences love it. It's critically acclaimed, so the critics love it. It has that critic and audience support that Oppenheimer had, and other movies like Titanic and Return of the King had. I could see it doing extremely well with precursors, Golden Globes maybe. They could go with La Bola Negra too, because they're more international. But Golden Globes, Critics' Choice. Critics' Choice is gonna nominate it for like 20 awards. PGA, it's obviously probably gonna win PGA, and PGA we know is the key to Best Picture in these recent years. And even BAFTAs could do it. I just see like The Odyssey is just such a huge juggernaut. It can tie the win record. It can tie the nomination record, which I'm currently doing both of those. Because obviously it's getting picture, director, screenplay. There are actors you can nominate. Mostly every single tech award it's going to be nominated for. So yeah, The Odyssey is just a huge juggernaut. Could it be the early frontrunner that kind of fizzles out, like a Dunkirk or something? Yeah, it can. But we just have to see what else can sneak up and take the win. I'd say the most likely for now would be La Bola Negra, which was at Cannes, super well received. That could maybe win Golden Globe for drama. That could maybe even win a BAFTA or something. SAG Ensemble maybe, although I have The Odyssey winning that too. So if The Odyssey does in fact lose steam, I think La Bola Negra could sneak up and win. It's gonna have a 47-day theatrical release by Netflix, and it hits Netflix in December. So they're clearly positioning this as their movie. They have another movie which we'll get into, but this is clearly their number one horse right here, La Bola Negra. This would be the second international movie to win. This would be the first Netflix movie to win. Netflix has never won before. Could happen, but I do feel like the Academy is less likely to go with Netflix because Netflix is such an antithesis of the theatrical experience, and the Oscars seem to like to honor the theatrical experience. Well, La Bola Negra could still happen when I guess. Wild Horse 9. If this is McDonough's best movie, maybe he could have a narrative to win in director and screenplay and picture to go along with his already win for live action short, which he's won before. But I'm just not really getting the vibe that it's gonna be his best received movie. So it probably wouldn't win, but I think it'll get nominated as long as it's good enough, you know. But I really think La Bola Negra and The Odyssey have a better shot at winning. The one thing with The Odyssey is, I guess you could say, Nolan's already won before, so maybe they're not as much in a rush to give him the win again. But maybe it may just be so undeniable that they may just do it anyway. But going back to my number 4, Project Hail Mary, I think that's in at this point. I see some people are a little bit worried about it. I don't think so. I think it'll be just fine. Like Barbie and Top Gun Maverick, I think will get in. Digger, I have at number 5. Digger is one I'm a little bit 50-50. I could see this just hitting with the Academy. I could see them loving it. It's a big political satire, high budget. The budget, I think, is around like $200 million or something. It's a huge budget movie. It's probably gonna bomb at the box office, but $125 million budget for Digger, probably gonna bomb at the box office. We'll see how critics respond to it. I could see it being divisive. I could see some critics loving it, and I could see some critics being like, "What the hell is this?" I could see audiences being like, "What the hell is this?" You know. But the trailer doesn't seem like anything out of the ordinary for what the Academy would go for. It seems like a very Academy-friendly movie. If the reviews are not where they need to be, and the audience reception isn't where it needs to be, and it just bombs at the box office, yeah, I'd probably take it out. But for now, I'm going to leave it in. This is a movie that almost everyone has in for a lot of categories, so I feel like taking it out would make me in the minority, kind of like with One Battle last year. Digger's also the movie, like, if I take it out of Best Picture, I'm pretty much taking it out across the board except for makeup or maybe cinematography. Yeah, I'd even take out Tom Cruise. I don't know if he'd survive if the movie wasn't getting in. But for now, I don't really have any reason to snub it, so I'll just have it in. Another Warner Brothers movie at number 6, Dune Part 3. I think they're going to be changing a lot from the original source material of Dune Messiah, and it'll be a little more accessible for Academy voters. And the movie just looks phenomenal. We'll see if there's diminishing returns compared to Dune 2. If it is the best Dune movie, I wonder what. I do kind of feel like The Odyssey being in the win conversation kind of takes Dune 3 out of the winning race, though. But if it is even better than The Odyssey and it just wins, then maybe Denis Villeneuve finally wins director. I feel like that's the only way he'd get nominated, even as if the movie was winning, but I don't know if it's going to. But it does have that big December release, and it just makes a lot of sense. And if Digger flops, if Digger's out of the 10, then Dune 3 is easily going to be Warner Brothers' priority, and they'll easily get it in. Number 7, Obsession. This could be the Focus Features priority, or it could be Elsinore, which we'll get into. But Obsession, I don't know if I just have this in because I want it to get in. It is my favorite film of the year so far, even above The Odyssey. But I do think it has a really good chance to show up at Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, PGA. I think Indy Navarrete could be nominated everywhere, or maybe even be a win contender for Best Actress, or Supporting Actress, wherever she is. Although I currently think she's going to be lead actress. And also, Obsession could get screenplay, could maybe even get casting. Curry Barker's probably going to win the Breakthrough Director Award at DGA. So I think Obsession has enough in its favor for me to have it in. I hope all this hype isn't for nothing and it just doesn't take off awards-wise. I hope it gets in because it's an amazing movie, but we'll see. At number 8, I have All of a Sudden, which is from Ryosuke Hamaguchi, director of Drive My Car. This one was also at Cannes, got amazing reviews. I can talk about Fjord right now. Fjord won the Palme d'Or, and that could also maybe even do better at BAFTAs or EFAs, at the European Film Awards or whatever, but the reason why I put All of a Sudden in there instead is because I think All of a Sudden is just the one that people are going to be more passionate for. Critics are already more passionate towards it. It's going to be at New York Film Festival. I think it's going to have a better showing at TIFF than Fjord will, and that's why I have it in. Hamaguchi's been at the Oscars before. This could get a decent package of picture, director, both acting, lead actress, supporting actress, adapted screenplay, maybe even casting, and then an international feature. So I think all of a sudden, if there's enough there, it could happen. I could see this doing extremely well at the Golden Globes. Maybe it'll show up on a few BAFTA long lists, or maybe get nominated for a few BAFTAs. Although they are more likely to go with European stuff, and this is from Japan. So we'll just have to see. But for now, I think it'll happen. Number 9, I have the debut. I guess I could talk about the invite here as well. I think A24 and Neon, for that matter, but when it comes to All of a Sudden and Fjord, I think A24 will get something. And I'm tempted to think that the debut will be their priority because it's going to be at TIFF. It has a December release date. Jesse Eisenberg's directing. He almost got nominated in Best Picture for Real Pain. He got a screenplay nomination. Kieran Culkin won. So I feel like there's a lot of goodwill for him as a filmmaker. You could also get acting nominations for Julianne Moore and Paul Giamatti, potential wins, and then a screenplay nomination. So I feel like there's enough there. The invite, I do want to talk about that. That can also do well. That could get picture, screenplay, multiple acting, actress, supporting actor. So that can have a good day too, but the thing that makes me a little bit worried is that A24 just released it in June or July. Past Lives got nominated with a June release date, but then look at Sing Sing, that couldn't even get in because they prioritized The Brutalist. So especially with this race being so competitive, I can't really fit it in right now. Although I do expect it to do well at places like Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, and then we'll see how the guilds and the BAFTAs respond to it. But I am tempted to think that the debut will be their priority. If the debut does not place at TIFF, though, forget about it not winning. If it just doesn't place in the top 3, I'm probably going to take it out and put the invite in instead. I guess I could talk about Club Kid as well. I don't really think Club Kid, that was at Cannes, that seems to be a huge crowd pleaser that could maybe place for the People's Choice Award at TIFF, because that's also at TIFF. But I'm just not really sure if that would translate for Oscars. I think it would just be a picture screenplay movie if it got in. So I'm tempted to think that the debut is going to be A24's priority. And then at number 10, I have Behemoth, directed by Tony Gilroy, who directed Michael Clayton, starring Pedro Pascal, Olivia Wilde, Eva Victor, Will Arnett. It's about a composer, played by Pedro Pascal. The trailer looked amazing. It looks like there's a lot of flavor to it. It's going to be at New York Film Festival. I think it's going to be a very critically acclaimed movie. We'll see how it turns out. Maybe it'll be a little more divisive amongst audiences, but I think it'll be well liked, hopefully. We'll see. If the reception of New York Film Festival is divisive, then I'd probably take it out. But I think there's a lot of goodwill for Behemoth, and Pedro Pascal could be giving a career best performance. We'll talk about another actor who I think has potential to give a career best performance. I already basically talked about the invite, so I guess we can just talk about it. Elsinore, that's going to be at TIFF. The director Simon Stone, who did The Dig, stars Andrew Scott as Ian Charleston, who was an actor. It depicts his performance as in Hamlet in the final months of his life as he faced AIDS and suffered from AIDS. So Andrew Scott's playing Charleston, and Olivia Colman plays Charleston's doctor. And this could be a TIFF movie. This could be a big TIFF crowd pleaser, well, maybe not crowd pleaser, maybe a big TIFF tearjerker, with a potential career best performance from Andrew Scott. I think if this wins People's Choice or maybe places, I think especially a win would be huge for it. Then it would absolutely get nominated. Hopefully not at the expense of Obsession, because they are both focus features, but hopefully they'd be able to coexist together if that were the case. Yeah, Elsinore, there seems to be a lot there. I think Andrew Scott could be a huge Best Actor contender. So yeah, I'm definitely on the lookout for Elsinore, although I don't have it in right now. I already talked about Fjord, so we can talk about Ink. This is the new Danny Boyle movie with Jack O'Connell and Guy Pearce, and Claire Foy. It's based on a play by James Graham, who's writing it. And this is going to be at all the festivals, every single festival. This is a Netflix movie. And I hear there's buzz for this. I could see this usually at Venice. At Venice, there's 2 movies that get in, usually. But I have Wild Horse 9 in, and that's the only one I have. I don't have Ink in. But I just don't have the room for Ink right now. If I do get the room for it, I'd probably put it in for adapted screenplay as well. I already have Guy Pearce in, spoiler alert, which we'll get into that. So yeah, I think Ink's very possible. So yeah, I already talked about Club Kid. Let's talk about Michael. Michael came out in April with 39 on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. So you might be like, why is this even on your list? Yes, we are on the first category, Best Picture. So you might be asking why Michael's even on the list. I could see Michael rebounding at Guilds, maybe SAG, PGA, maybe. If it gets those, I'd be very worried for it. I'd also want to see like if Jafar Jackson gets a Globe nomination or something. That could be a sign, maybe. Although everyone could get in the lead acting categories at Golden Globes now. But yeah, I think Michael's not impossible, but I can't have it in with how stacked Best Picture is right now. I already talked about Club Kid. Sense and Sensibility, I just don't think so. It looks like we've been there, done that with these types of movies, and it looks like Focus Feature is gonna focus more on Obsession and Elsinore. The Social Reckoning, no, that just looks like a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes movie, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I don't think so. Even though they did love the first Social Network, this I don't see. Maybe it gets Goose Egg, or maybe it gets 1 or 2 actors in, but I just don't see the Social Reckoning being a huge awards player. I do want to talk about I Play Rocky. This is a movie about the making of the first Rocky movie, and it's directed by Peter Farrelly, who directed the Best Picture winner Green Book, as well as Dumb and Dumber and all that. It looks like this movie will be at TIFF. It looks like a huge crowd pleaser. I don't know if it'll necessarily be good, but it could be a crowd pleaser, and it could maybe a place for TIFF. But I just wonder like what the package would be for this movie, because screenplay, I think it's an original screenplay, so, and that category is pretty crowded. Lead actor for Anthony Ippolito, who's playing Sylvester Stallone. Lead actor is very crowded. So like I just don't really know what the package would be for I Play Rocky. But I wouldn't write it off entirely. And then number 20, I have Josephine. That was the huge hit at Sundance, and it's going to be at TIFF as well. However, I feel like the subject matter about sexual assault is going to be maybe a little too much for the Academy. Although I see this doing extremely well. Places like Indie Spirit, and Mason Reeves is probably going to get a Critics' Choice nomination for Young Actor. If this movie got in, it'd probably get screenplay. Gemma Chan would probably get in. Maybe Channing Tatum, although supporting actor's crowded. But I just think maybe a little bit too much for Josephine with how intense the subject matter seems to be. Although it does sound very good. Probably watch it. Maybe not in theaters because there's a scene that here is really graphic, and I want the option to skip if I have to. But yeah, Josephine sounds really good, but I'm not really sure if the Oscars are going to care enough about it. So that's it for Best Picture. Let's move on to Director. Obviously, Christopher Nolan's getting nominated for The Odyssey. He could win again. It could be like Iñárritu for The Revenant, except he won twice in a row, and there's a couple of years between Nolan's wins. But I think he can just win if The Odyssey's big enough. Alright, we're back. Yeah, I think Christopher Nolan's obviously getting in for The Odyssey. He could win again. Who else could win? I think Javier Ambrosi and Javier Calvo for Lobo Negra could maybe win. AKA they're also known as Los Javis. Maybe they could win if the movie wins, but maybe even if Lobo Negra wins, Nolan can still win. Alejandro G. Iñárritu for Digger. The movie seems to be very big, very ambitious, so if the movie gets in, he'll probably be in. Ryosuke Hamaguchi for All of a Sudden. Can movie. Makes sense to have it in. And at number 5, I have Tony Gilroy for Behemoth. The movie again looks very stylish. There's some interesting shots in the trailer. So again, I think it makes sense. Tar got a director nomination too for Top Field. If this is somewhat contender to Tar, maybe he can get nominated. Right on the outside, I have Martin McDonagh for Wild Horse 9. He's probably going to get in everywhere, to be honest. And he might even get the Oscar nomination. However, I don't know if Wild Horse 9 looks as visually ambitious as some of Martin McDonagh's other films. He missed for 3 Billboards, got in for Banshees. We'll just have to see what happens with this one. Christian Mungiu for Fjord. If the movie gets in, he'll get in. But if the movie doesn't get in, he won't get in. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller for Project Hail Mary. Probably going to get DGA, Critics' Choice. But that seems like the blockbuster type of a nominee that they like to gatekeep. Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 3. Kind of get in for the other Dune movies. Although if this one's the best one, maybe it's possible. But I'm not going to predict him. And then Olivia Wilde for The Invite. I've seen some people having her in. But they don't really like to go with actor-directors too much. They didn't go with Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born. Although The Invite does seem to be the most high-profile female-directed movie on my Best Picture lineup, in my top 20 for Best Picture. And she's also the only woman I have on this list. This year does seem to be a little more undiverse than usual, because I don't have any movies directed by women or black directors on my top 10, which is not great, but we'll see. But they don't love to nominate their actor-directors. They nominated Jordan Peele for Get Out and Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, but yeah, I don't really have too much justification for having her in. She may get Golden Globe. They like their actor-directors over there. Best Actress. Michelle Williams is gone for A Place in Hell, so I have to have a new number 1. I had her at number 1 before. But my number 1 is Indy Navarrete for Obsession. Phenomenal performance. I think she'll lead with critics. Maybe win Golden Globe. Critics' Choice. I think she'll win. SAG, potentially. Maybe BAFTA, but we'll see. Julianne Moore, I guess, could win too for the debut. If this is a career best performance from her. If it's not, then I just don't really know if they're going to see the need. I don't want to say that Julianne Moore, the fact that she's already won for Still Alice, just means that she's off the table for a win entirely, because that's not true. We've learned that lesson a million times, especially this decade. With Frances McDormand winning again, Emma Stone winning again, Anthony Hopkins winning again, Sean Penn winning again. It's like so many times. But yeah, I think she'll get nominated for this. We'll see. This could be an interesting race. I think Virginie Efira will get nominated for All of a Sudden. If the movie's in, she'll probably get Golden. She may win the drama Golden Globe if Obsession's a comedy. She may get BAFTA nominated too. Critics' Choice at SAG won't do it, but I think she could be in if the movie's in. Both actress categories are empty enough for me to predict them both to get nominated. Penelope Cruz I have in for Bunker, the new Florian Zeller movie, because I've heard of a stat that Venice Film Festival usually produces one actress nominee, and this is the one I have. And then at number 5, I have Sandra Hüller for Rose, which is a movie where she disguises herself as a man. This could be a huge transformative performance from Sandra Hüller. Maybe get a Golden Globe and BAFTA nomination out of it. At number 6, I have Olivia Wilde for The Invite. If I had the movie in, I would definitely have her in, but I don't have the movie in, so I have her missing. Although she can happen. I definitely think so. Mikey Madison for The Social Reckoning. Could happen, but although I'm not really getting good vibes from The Social Reckoning, so I'll probably just say she misses if they just hate the movie altogether. I mean, people try to say Julia Roberts would still get in for After the Hunt no matter what, but that didn't happen. Renate Reinsve for Fjord. I don't think she's getting in, especially if the movie's not getting in. If the movie was getting in, if Fjord was getting in, then maybe, but I hear both of these lead performances are just not, big enough to get nominated, so she may miss because of that. Cynthia Erivo for Prima Facie, that's going to be at TIFF. She can happen. Emily Blunt for Disclosure Day, no, I don't think so. I maybe down the line I'll remove her from her list. If the movie does get in, I wouldn't consider her. I wouldn't consider her at all. I'd only really consider her if the movie's getting. Even if the movie got in, I'm not sure if the performances are must sell or like huge sells, and it could just be drive my car and get picture, director, and screenplay and international. But yeah, it's best actress. Now we have to move on to a insane category, best actor. There are 6 people I want to predict, but only 5 slots. I have Matt Damon out front for The Odyssey. He's never won an acting prize before, so there could be huge narrative. He's phenomenal in the movie. He can maybe sweep. And if the movie's getting in, it makes sense to award the actor playing Odysseus. So that's why I have him out front. Tom Cruise for Digger. He's giving the biggest performance. He's in a ton of makeup. He's going to be being all kooky and insane. But I feel like those performances don't always win. Especially nowadays. Like Christian Bale didn't win for Vice. Bradley Cooper didn't win for Maestro. So maybe they will just not award Tom Cruise for that reason. Although he does also have a narrative to win an Oscar. As does John Malkovich for Wild Horse 9. If Wild Horse 9 wins Best Picture, I'd maybe consider him if he could win. But we'll see. I think he's definitely going to get nominated as long as the movie's in. Number 4, I have Pedro Pascal for Behemoth. If the movie's in, he'll obviously happen. I could see this being a career best performance from Pedro Pascal. And then number 5, I have Ryan Gosling for Project Hail Mary. He's in basically the entire movie, and he's great in it. It would be kind of weird if the movie got in, he wasn't a part of it, but this category is crowded. I really want to predict Andrew Scott for Elsinore. I think this is going to be a transformative career best performance from him. Maybe even the type that could get in even if the movie wasn't in picture. But the problem is this category is so crowded, and all the other 5 people I have getting in are in movies that I have in Best Picture, and they would all make sense to go along with their movies getting nominated. So that's why I have Andrew Scott right on the outside. But I'm prepared for when the reviews come out of TIFF and they praise Andrew Scott, and he probably would end up being a lock to be nominated. But we'll see. John Turturro for The Only Living Pickpocket in New York. I've heard his performance is a little more subtle and reserved, but he's never been nominated. And in the Sony Classics, they've gotten a lot of people in before. Robert Pattinson in Prime Time for playing Chris Hansen. Robert Pattinson's having a huge year this year, and I guess if he's nominated for anything, it'd probably be for this. But again, this category is crowded. Sebastian Stan for Fjord, I don't think so. I've heard his performance is very muted, very subtle, and in a crowded category like this, I don't think he'd be able to get nominated. Even if Fjord was getting nominated, he may get Golden Globe, and that's it. And then number 10, I have Jafar Jackson for Michael. If Michael's getting Best Picture, he'll obviously come along. There's no way you're nominating Michael and then not nominating the actor playing Michael Jackson. So he could maybe get Golden Globe and SAG. I don't think Critics' Choice and BAFTA would do it. But yeah, he's possible if the movie's getting in. But if the movie's not getting in, I wouldn't really consider him. I'll take a water break and then I'll move on to supporting actress. It's another kind of bleak category. So supporting actress, Anne Hathaway's winning. That performance is just gonna win an Oscar. She's won before for Les Miserables, so this will be her 2nd Oscar. But she has a huge Oscar scene in the movie. Screams, cries. I think she'll win. Maybe even if the movie didn't win. I think she's just that strong. There is some talk about her potentially being lead actress. No, I don't think so. She's basically going to have a win guaranteed here, so if they just move her to lead, that wouldn't be too smart, because she has to compete against Indy Navarrete and Julianne Moore. But I think a supporting actress supporting actress would guarantee a win for her. Mariana Di Girolamo for Wild Horse 9 probably gets in if the movie gets in. I've heard she's a standout. Penelope Cruz, I have been nominated for La Bola Negra. Although I've heard her role isn't huge, she can get in off of just being Penelope Cruz. And for making a huge impression with her limited screen time. I think she's probably going to get in everywhere too, to be honest. Teo Okamoto, I have her getting nominated for All of a Sudden. Makes sense if the movie's getting nominated, especially with how empty the actress categories seem to be. I think she makes a lot of sense. Probably Golden Globe and BAFTA. And number 5, I have Samantha Morton for The Odyssey. Only one scene, but it's a phenomenal scene, and she's phenomenal in it. And so many people have talked about the scene. And some of these precursors don't seem to be too out of reach for her. I think Critics' Choice could easily do it. BAFTAs, she's British, she can easily get BAFTAs. SAG could do it. They're gonna love The Odyssey, and maybe even Globes. I think she can very well get in. But they're gonna have to really love The Odyssey, and if The Odyssey is just like 14 nominations, 13 nominations is probably the minimum, which is crazy for it. Crazy, because that's still a lot. But yeah, I think Samantha Morton is going to be enough of a scene stealer to get nominated, potentially. But she doesn't have to. Penelope Cruz for The Invite. I have her getting in for Lobola Negra. She could get nominated for both, technically. But if I had The Invite in Best Picture, I would definitely have Penelope Cruz in for The Invite. But because I don't have the movie in picture, I have her missing. Lola Duenas for Lobola Negra. I actually hear she's a huge standout, even more so than Penelope Cruz. So I guess it's not impossible. She can maybe be like Marina de Tavira for Roma. But I don't have enough justification to predict her right now. Sandra Hüller for Project Hail Mary. She's great. She has that Sign of the Times scene. Although I'm not sure if she'll actually make it in at the end of the day. I think she'll get a few things though, like Critics' Choice and SAG, potentially. Olivia Colman for Elsinore for playing Ian Charleston's doctor, potentially maybe, but I'm not sure. And then Parker Posey for Wild Horse 9. I just don't think she's going to be in it enough. I think her screen time is going to be limited. And I've heard the stuff you see in the trailer of her being on the phone is the most we're going to see of her in the movie. So she's probably not going to get nominated for that. Oh, another crowded category, Supporting Actor. A lot of options here. I think Paul Giamatti makes sense to win for the debut if it's big. He's probably going to give a behemoth performance, and that is going to be amazing, most likely. So if the movie gets in, it makes sense for him to win. I think Sam Rockwell gets in for Wild Horse 9, as being the co-lead in the movie. John Goodman for Digger. I think he'll be in as long as the movie's in for playing the President of the United States. And he seems to be doing a lot in the trailer, so there's that. Guy Pearce I have in for Ink. This is the only nomination I have for Ink. I've heard from people who have seen the play that his role is a huge one and one that is amazing and that he can get nominated for it. So I definitely have him on my list now. And number 5, I have John Leguizamo for The Odyssey. I have The Odyssey getting in all 4 acting. Wait, no, not all 4. 4 nominations in the acting categories. I'd have it in all 4 if I had Anne Hathaway in lead, but there's no way I'm doing that unless Universal is dumb and confirms it. But I have it getting 4 acting nominations for Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Samantha Morton, and John Leguizamo. He's an actor who's been around for a long time. He's sort of unrecognizable with the makeup work. And he's probably my favorite supporting performance in the movie, aside from Anne Hathaway. He's probably my favorite supporting actor in the movie. And I think due to him being around for a while and being such a well-known actor who's a standout in this movie, it makes sense for him to potentially come along. I have The Odyssey getting 16 nominations with these 4 actors. So that ties it for the most in history. And I actually have it winning 11. So that would tie it for the most wins with Ben-Hur, Titanic, and Return of the King. Edward Norton for The Invite. I'd probably have him in if I had the movie in, although I'm not too sure. I heard he has a great monologue towards the end of the film. So I think he's possible. Jeremy Strong for The Social Reckoning for playing Mark Zuckerberg. Possible. He seems to be doing a lot, but again, I just don't really have the best vibes with that movie. Yeah, I'd say lead actor is the most stacked, then this one, then I'd say actress, then I'd say supporting actress. Maybe actress is a little weaker than supporting actress, we'll see. But both male acting categories are more crowded than the female ones. But yeah, Jeremy Strong, I don't really think so because I don't have the best vibes. I don't trust that this movie is gonna be well received. But he seems to be doing a lot in it as Mark Zuckerberg. Riz Ahmed for Digger, I don't think is impossible. He's playing. I've heard he's the second most prominent character aside from Digger himself, played by Tom Cruise. So I guess it's not impossible, but I'm not gonna have him in with how crowded this category is. Steve Buscemi for Wild Horse 9. Possible, but I don't. Again, I'm not really sure how much he's gonna be in it. Probably more than Parker Posey will be. And number 10, I want to make sure I get this right. Guitarrica de la Fuente for La Bola Negra. Heard he's really good in it. So I guess if this movie's winning Best Picture and it overperforms everywhere, he can get in. But yeah, I don't have him in for now. Screenplay next. I finally have original screenplay. I finally have Martin McDonagh winning for Wild Horse 9. I guess if it really isn't winning Best Picture, I mean, I already don't have a winning Best Picture, but I guess if they want to avoid giving McDonagh an Oscar again, they could look elsewhere. I'm wondering if they could do Obsession. They did Get Out, which one? But I think Wild Horse 9 is just the safe option for now, so I'm just gonna go with that. And I think it makes a lot of sense for McDonagh to finally win a screenplay Oscar after being denied 2 times for 3 Billboards and Banshees. But yeah, I think Obsession's gonna get in if the movie's getting in. I think Digger as well. It's a huge satire, political satire. The Oscars like those types of movies. I don't think it's impossible that it's a Killers of the Flower Moon or Mank where it gets a lot of nominations, but due to screenplay being crowded, it would miss. But these are all movies that have the Best Picture, and the other ones are not, so it makes a lot of sense to have in. But if this category were to get more crowded, I wouldn't think it's impossible that Digger can miss, but I have it in for now. The debut also makes sense if it gets screenplay, if it gets Best Picture to get screenplay. Eisenberg got in for A Real Pain. Could have come close to winning, but Nora was easily going to win that. So there's that. And then number 5, the only remaining Best Picture nominee, Behemoth, which I have getting a decent amount of nominations. And screenplay would make sense as this huge character study for the Pedro Pascal character. Outside shots, Fjord's possible. If one of these movies were to drop out of Best Picture, so even if Fjord wasn't in Best Picture, I think it could still get in the way that it was just an accident and Worst Person in the World did. But because all these movies that I have in are for Best Picture, I took it out, but I don't think it's impossible. Elsinore, maybe, if that's in Best Picture. Club Kid, lone screenplay nominee, maybe, but I don't really think so. If it wasn't Best Picture, this would probably be the only other nomination it gets, I think. Josephine, probably not. I don't think the Oscars are going to like that movie too much. And then Tender Loving Care, which is Mike Leigh's, probably his last movie. If they want to award him one last time, maybe. But this is a Bleecker Street movie, and they don't have the best track record. Next, we have Best Adapted Screenplay. Last category before we get into the new ones. My first predictions in all the other following categories. I think La Bola Negra is probably going to win. It may not win at Critics' Choice, maybe. May not even be eligible for WGA, but I think it'll win BAFTA. And maybe Golden Globes, if they don't want to go with McDonagh again. But yeah, I think La Bola Negra just makes the most sense to have up front. The Odyssey, I don't think will win, because Oppenheimer didn't win, and that was a huge dialogue-driven movie. So I think La Bola Negra, looks great. The trailer looked amazing, but I think it's gonna win screenplay. The Odyssey, because Oppenheimer lost, I don't really think The Odyssey would win. But I guess it's not impossible if they just want to only award that for stuff and not award anything else. Project Hail Mary is gonna get nominated. All of a sudden, it's gonna get nominated if that's in Best Picture. Project Hail Mary's Drew Goddard, who got nominated for The Martian. And same author as The Martian, too. All of a sudden, will obviously be in if that's in Best Picture. And then The Invite. I don't have that in Best Picture, but I just think that makes so much sense to be a screenplay nominee, even if it's not in Best Picture. And if it is in Best Picture, I think it actually could win, to be honest. This could be very complicated though if all of these movies are getting in, and then Ink becomes a huge contender because it is based on a play. They've snubbed play-based stuff before with Ma Rainey, but then they've also nominated play-based things like One Night in Miami. The Father was based on a play. Fences based on an iconic play. So yeah, if Ink's in Best Picture, it'll probably get screenplay. So there's that. Dune Part 3, they didn't nominate Dune 2, so I just don't really think they're going to do that. The Social Reckoning, don't see it. Sense and Sensibility, don't see it. And The Adventures of Cliff Booth, not even on my top 20 for Best Picture, because that's also one I just don't really have the highest hopes in. Both that and Social Reckoning, two sequels that I don't really think anyone really asked for. Well, Social Reckoning is not really being marketed as a sequel, but Cliff Booth's one I'm just not really sure people are going to care. And David Fincher is also in his washed era. I did not like The Killer. But we'll see how this one turns out, but I don't think it's going to get in. Now for casting. I have The Odyssey out front. It is hard to tell like what trends are going to emerge until we're in this category for a couple more years, but we look at what won last year with one battle after another. It was the Best Picture winner. It won an acting prize. I have The Odyssey winning Best Picture, and I have it winning multiple acting prizes. So I guess so it fits the bill. They cast a lot of celebrities to play these Greek myth, these mythical Greek legends from Homer's The Odyssey. So yeah, I think it just makes sense to have up front. I do think La Bola Negra could win. They have a lot of newcomers, queer cast of color. If they want to award a diverse cast, then they could go with La Bola Negra. The Odyssey's kind of diverse too. They have Lupita Nyong'o, but yeah, La Bola Negra. If they want to go with the diverse casting, lots of newcomers, then they could go with that. Wild Horse 9 I have getting nominated. They cast John Malkovich and Sam Rockwell and Steve Buscemi, Parker Posey. There's some new faces in there as well with Mariana Di Girolamo. And the casting director is Sarah Haley Flynn, who casted all the Marvel films, so she seems to be well known. Digger I have getting in because it's Francine Maisler. She's one of the most well-known casting directors. She just got nominated last year and was predicted to win for Sinners. But yeah, you have the Tom Cruise casting. You also have a huge ensemble cast with Riz Ahmed, John Goodman, Sandra Hüller, Jesse Plemons. So yeah, huge cast with Digger. And number 5 I have Obsession because they cast a lot of newcomers. A lot of discoveries within that Obsession cast. And everyone in it is amazing. So that's why I have that getting out the 5th slot. Other outside shots, Elsinore, biopic casting. The debut, I think they cast actual theater actors, so there could be a narrative there. Behemoth for casting Pedro Pascal. Michael, if that got in Best Picture, that would absolutely get casting for casting Michael Jackson with his nephew. Even then, just for casting Michael Jackson, that would get in, but especially because they chose his nephew to play him, so there's a huge narrative there. And then Being Human, they cast a disabled actor to play Judith Human. So that could happen. Although I do think casting, they are going to lean towards definitely Best Picture like they did last year. I don't think they're going to go with the Best Picture winner every single year. We'll have to see in a couple of years if any trends start to emerge with this category. But because it's the second year, I'm just kind of going off of what happened last year and just applying it again. So yeah. Next is International Feature. La Bola Negra is going to win. The lesson I learned from Sentimental Value vs. Secret Agent. Emilia Perez lost to I'm Still Here because of the huge controversy. If there isn't any controversy, they're just going to go with the most nominated, most likely to win Best Picture, and that is La Bola Negra. Yeah, all of a sudden is going to get nominated. Fjord I actually have getting in. That is able to get nominated. Even though I heard there's some parts that are in English, some parts that aren't, but it is eligible, so I think they're going to nominate it. Minotaur I had getting nominated. This is from the director of Leviathan and Loveless, which both got nominated. Um, it's a Russian movie. I'm pretty sure it's Russian. Um, and the director's gotten films nominated before, so that's why I have Minotaur in. It's by Mubi, I'm pretty sure. And number 5, I have Rose, to go along with Sandra Hüller getting in, who I have in for Best Actress. Big snub I'm predicting, Fatherland. This is from Pavel Pawlikowski, who's gotten in with Ida, he won for Ida, and got nominated for Cold War. He got a direct nomination for that too. But with Fatherland, I'm just not hearing too much buzz about it. It is going to be at New York Film Festival, but I'm just not hearing too much about it. So maybe this could be the big surprise snub that no one really expects. Possible Love is a Netflix one, I'm pretty sure. It's from the director of Burning, which did not get nominated. They seem to not really nominate Korean movies aside from Parasite, which won, but aside from that, they don't really seem to go with them. They notoriously snubbed Park Chan-wook a ton of times. Coward is from the director of Close, which got nominated, so I guess that's possible. Mimesis is from Kauter Ben Hania, who's got nominated for The Man Who Sold His Skin and The Voice of Hin Rajab, and got a documentary nominated with Four Daughters. We'll see if that comes out. I haven't heard too much about it. And then Hope was a sci-fi kind of monster movie that was at Cannes. Don't think that's getting nominated. Next we have documentary. I've done some research on the movies that I have in, and I'll briefly talk about some of these other ones. I think American Doctor, if that gets nominated, that's the one to beat. It's about three doctors who travel to Gaza to provide medical aid during the whole Israel and Palestine conflict. So set in the midst of one of the current wars going on. That's been the trend for almost 5 years now. Navalny won, which is about Putin, anti-Russia. Wait, no, it's not anti-Russia. Anti-Putin. Anti-Putin. You have Navalny, which is about Russia and Ukraine. 20 Days of Mariupol, which is also about Russia and Ukraine. Then you have No Other Land, which was about Israel and Palestine. Then you have Mr. Nobody Against Putin, which is also about Russia and Ukraine. And then American Doctor is about Gaza and Israel. So just going along with them going with movies set in the midst of the backdrops of current wars and conflicts going on, that just seems like the one to beat if it gets nominated. Another one I think could win is Once Upon a Time in Harlem, which is about the Harlem Renaissance. That could get it. That could maybe win, but I do think American Doctor just seems a little more in line with what they've been going with in the recent years. Both of these movies were at Sundance. One, A Million, which is my number 3, it's about a girl who over the course of 10 years, she travels from Syria and Germany and navigates war, exile, and heartbreak. This one was also at Sundance. Then I have When a Witness Recants. This is about the Harlem Park 3, the wrongful convictions of Andrew Stewart, Ransom Watkins, and Alfred Chestnut. They were convicted as teenagers and spent 36 years in prison for the 1983 murder of 14-year-old DeWitt Duckett at Harlem Park Junior High in Baltimore. And it was a crime they didn't commit. So this one was also at Sundance. And this seems to be tackling huge issues about racism and incarceration. So that seems to be a very buzzy one. And my number 5 is 14th, which is from Ava DuVernay. I guess this is kind of a sequel to her documentary 13th, which is also about incarceration. I think it was about the 13th Amendment. This one's about the 14th Amendment. And it's following Ava DuVernay as she speaks with scholars, politicians, and legal experts about the 14th Amendment, exploring who gets to belong in America and the ongoing fight over birthright citizenship. This one's also a huge, buzzy one. If it gets nominated, it could potentially be a conversation to win as well. They do like to be a little bit gatekeepy towards previous nominees and previous winners. Ava DuVernay didn't win before, but She has been nominated for 13th. So they do like to be a little bit gatekeepy, but this one just makes so much sense to have them for now. And again, the topic is so relevant to what's going on now, and so yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. Nuisance Bear is about climate change, so that one's also a huge topic. And then I have Told Mountain, History of Concrete, the AI doc, which is about AI. And it's from the director of Navani, but that seems to be one of the populist type of documentaries that they like to snub. And then my number 10 is Closure. I'm going through these kind of quick. Animated feature. This one's competitive category this year. Best animated feature was so bleak last year, and this year it's the complete opposite. It's super competitive. There's so many movies. Given some stuff I heard about yesterday about certain festivals passing over Wildwood, I don't think that's a huge lock to win anymore. However, I'm probably just gonna have it up front until reviews come out. Because I could still see people being very passionate towards this movie. The animation looks phenomenal. But this is one I just want to wait to see the reviews for. Because maybe if the animation's phenomenal, but the story isn't as compelling, then it could lose. But I'm going to have it up front for now. Toy Story 5 is obviously getting nominated. $1 billion film. I guess that doesn't always mean you're safe. Look at Frozen 2 and Moana 2. But this is a $1 billion sequel that was very good and very well received. So that's obviously going to get nominated. I don't know if it's going to win again. Toy Story 3 and 4 both won. I think they maybe move past giving Toy Story films to win. But if it does win, Andrew Stanton would get a third Oscar, tying him with Pete Docter for the most wins in the category. So there's that. Iron Boy, I have getting in. This is from Sony Classics. This is an independent animated film, and it won a lot of awards at the Annecy Film Festival. So I think that's going to put it on the map for a nomination to be this year's independent. CinemaCon, they showed the full movie. They showed it at Annecy Film Festival, which is the film festival for animation. And everywhere they seem to be screening this movie, the audience just adores it. They love it, and I think this is going to be very acclaimed. I think this is going to be very loved. I think if Wildwood is not good enough to win, and Forgotten Island is super acclaimed, Forgotten Island can win. There's another one I think could maybe win if it gets a distributor and if it comes out, but we'll talk about that one momentarily. And then number 5, I have Hoppers. Hoppers, Pixar's first movie of the year. You can maybe argue it came out too early, but people like it, and it wasn't a huge failure at the box office. It did result in some layoffs though, but I just think it makes sense to have in right now because and original Pixar films do get in. Aside from The Good Dinosaur, that's actually the only one that's missed when it comes to original Pixar films since the category's been introduced. Number 6, I have In Waves. This is a Netflix movie about a high school couple navigating love and sudden illness. So it's about a couple and their relationship. It's tested when one of them falls ill. Sounds interesting. Maybe it could be the Netflix nominee. Netflix usually gets something in, but I just don't really know what it would be because they don't have an super obvious one. I guess you could say Ray Gunn's kind of obvious, but I don't know how good that's gonna be. Guess we could talk about Ray Gunn right now. This is from Brad Bird. He has a very good track record. Not all the movies have come out yet. But yeah, Ray Gunn, Brad Bird's directed by him. He has a great track record with The Iron Giant and The Incredibles. But you look at the distributor, not Netflix, the other distributor. It's Skydance Animation, who released, this is John Lasseter, I'm pretty sure. He used to be at Pixar, but left the company after being accused of sexual harassment. But you look at Skydance Animation, they've released movies like Luck and Spellbound, which were not received well at all. And I've also heard there was some behind the scenes drama with Ray Gunn, so I have that missing for that reason. Shaun the Sheep, The Beast of Mossy Bottom. They nominated both Shaun the Sheep movies, although this is a more competitive year. So maybe they're not going to nominate this one. We'll see. It'll obviously get a BAFTA nomination, but I'm not sure if the Oscars will do it. I do want to talk about Tangles. This was at Cannes, and this got phenomenal reviews at Cannes. This is an adult animated film directed by Leah Nelson, and it has a huge cast: Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Bryan Cranston, Beanie Feldstein, Seth Rogen, Sarah Silverman, Bowen Yang, Wanda Sykes. Huge cast, and it got great reviews out of Cannes. The only problem is they don't have a distributor for it. If a distributor got this, such as Neon, I would maybe wonder if this could win. If it's strong enough to be nominated at places like PGA and stuff. This would be the first R-rated animated film to win an Oscar. Also be the first winner to be solely directed by a female director. But because there's no distributor yet, that makes me very worried. So that's why I have it missing. And number 10, I have Julian, which is a cartoon saloon movie. I don't even have Disney text on my list because that just looks so bad. And I think it's not going to be received well either. It's probably going to flop. I don't even think that's worth having on the list. Next is cinematography. The Odyssey's probably going to win. Hoyte van Hoytsema is probably going to get a second Oscar. Just makes so much sense. Digger is Emmanuel Lubezki, who's won 3 times in a row for Gravity, Birdman, and The Revenant in 2013, 2014, and 2015, respectively. So, and I think the cinematography looks pretty good. A lot of people think it looks too gray, but I think there are some shots that look pretty good. La Bola Negra is obviously happening. Looks great from the trailer. Project Hail Mary is going to get nominated, probably. Greg Fraser. Missed for the Batman, but he's got nominated for the Dune films and Lion. And number 5, I have Dune Part 3, which is by Linus Sandgren this time, not Greg Fraser. Sandgren hasn't been nominated since his win for La La Land. Although if this movie's in Best Picture, it could probably just get nominated anyway. The cinematography from the trailers looks phenomenal. If they had missed, it would probably be on the level of Greg Fraser being snubbed for the Batman. It would just be that bad. But yeah, I have it for now, even though Sandgren hasn't been nominated since his win for La La Land. Didn't get in for First Man, didn't get in for stuff like Babylon or Saltburn or anything. No Time to Die, no. But I think none of those were in Best Picture. This one, if it's a Best Picture, it'll probably be fine. Fatherland I have missing, even though the last 2 Pavel Pawlikowski black and white films got in with Ida and Cold War. Lukas Zala has surprisingly not been able to get any other nominations aside from those 2. He didn't get in for The Zone of Interest or Hamnet, so I have him missing. I also think Fatherland's just not going to be as big as those 2 were. Behemoth, I actually think is possible. That looks great from the trailer. There's one shot in the trailer involving a car, which I thought looks very cool. So maybe if it's in Best Picture, it could get that nomination. We'll see. Tar got a cinematography nomination. Werewolf, they nominated The Lighthouse and Nosferatu. They nominated Nosferatu for 4 categories. So we'll see if it's as big or bigger than that, or if it's not as big as that. We'll just have to see. Wild Horse 9, I don't really think so. And then Sense Up with Sensibility looks nice from the trailer, but I don't think they'll nominate that. Film editing, again, another one for The Odyssey. This would be the second Oscar for Jennifer Lame. La Bola Negra is getting in. Wild Horse 9 is getting in. The editor got nominated for Banshees and won for Sound of Metal. Project Hail Mary, probably going to be a big tech movie. And number 5, I have Behemoth, because Tar got nominated for editing, and this could have good editing. Digger, I have being the big snub here. You'll get those sometimes with movies like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood not getting in, or Mank, stuff like that. But if it's just that undeniable, it could probably get in. The Debut's possible, Ink possible. They'll probably have a lot of showy Danny Boyle editing. Michael, if that's in Best Picture, that could get in. That movie has multiple editors. One of them won for Bohemian Rhapsody. One of them won for Whiplash. Got nominated for La La Land. Yeah. And I think one of them most recently did Thunderbolts as well. So Michael's possible if it's in Best Picture. And then Dune Part 3. I don't really think so because they didn't nominate Dune 2. I am doubting Dune in a lot of these categories that the second one missed in. Although I guess it doesn't have to work that way because Avatar, Fire and Ash got a costumes nomination and they didn't even nominate the first one. And then you look at Wakanda, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which got nominations that the first one didn't get, like visual effects and makeup and supporting actress. But for now, that's just the way I'm rolling with Dune 3. Production design, another one for the Odyssey. The production design's insane. What do I want to say? Period setting. It's centuries ago. The sets are intricately detailed, and I think it could just win. I guess if they want to spread the love, they could maybe do Digger, which looks like it has very interesting, very cool sets. So I'd say that could maybe win if they want to spread the love. But if the Odyssey is just winning Best Picture, I think they'll just award it. Project Hail Mary is getting in. They always nominate the space movies. La Bola Negra will just be another nomination to add to that movie's tally. And number 5, I have Dune Part 3 because they nominated the first Dune one and then the second one got nominated still. So I have it for that reason. Werewolf, if they want to give that the same nominations as Nosferatu, it's there. Sense and Sensibility, maybe. Backrooms, I've actually seen some people try to predict Backrooms, but long production design nomination would be weird for that movie. I don't think they're gonna do it. I could see it getting precursors like Critics' Choice and Art Directors Guild, but I don't think the Oscars would do it. Michael, maybe if that's in Best Picture, it would be a posthumous nomination for the production designer, but we'll see about that. And number 10 at Wuthering Heights, no, probably not. Best Costume Design, another one for the Odyssey. I have the Odyssey winning everything. But yeah, another one for the Odyssey. There's dresses, there's armor, there's Trojan wear, the helmets. Benny Safdie looked insane, had a lot of aura. Yeah, I think that the Odyssey just makes so much sense to win costumes. La Bola Negra is going to get nominated probably. Sense and Sensibility has those period costumes that they like to nominate. So that's the sole nomination I have that movie getting. Then I have Werewolf getting in, another period film. And then number 5, I have The Devil Wears Prada 2 because it's a movie about fashion. They nominated the first Devil Wears Prada, Cruella won. They nominated Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. So they seem to like movies about costumes in this category. Digger's possible if they want to overperform, if they want to over-nominate it, because there are those interesting-looking suits that Tom Cruise wears that could maybe be enough. They've nominated stuff like Joker and The Irishman and Oppenheimer. So the moral I can get in from them nominating, especially Oppenheimer and Joker, is that one iconic look is all you need to get a costumes nomination. You don't just have to be super showy. Elsinore, I guess, is possible. Dune 3, I don't think so because they didn't nominate Dune 2. Michael, if that got nominated for Best Picture, I'd have that in because you have all these iconic Michael Jackson looks that are being recreated. And then number 10, Wuthering Heights, another period film, but I don't think so. Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Digger's gonna win as long as it's in Best Picture. Werewolf's getting nominated. The Odyssey's getting nominated. There's enough makeup there to justify it. I think they're gonna nominate Michael. I know some people don't have it in, but I think if it gets any nominations, it's gonna be this one. They completely transformed Jafar Jackson into Michael Jackson. They have a lot of makeup on. Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson. They like to. Their lesser received movies are not off limits in this category. They've nominated Norbit. They've awarded Suicide Squad. And they like to nominate biopics. Look at The Smashing Machine last year. That got nominated as the film's only nomination. So I think Michael makes a lot of sense. And then at number 5, I have Clayface. I guess some of the drawbacks is that they don't love to nominate superhero or comic book movies here. But they have been on a body horror kick as of late. They nominated The Substance one, and then they nominated The Ugly Stepsister last year. And the makeup in Clayface looks insane, so I have it in for that reason. I wonder if they're gonna think it's too reliant on CGI, but there's definitely practical makeup based on that trailer. So I have it in for that reason. Rose could get in for having Sandra Huller disguise herself as a man. Wicker, I think, could get nominated. This is about a woman who creates a husband for herself out of wicker. So you have Alexander Skarsgård completely covered in this wicker basket type material. So that's gonna have a lot there. So I guess if they want to go a little bit more out of the box, they can nominate Wicker. I definitely wouldn't think that's impossible. Elsinore, if there's a lot of makeup on Andrew Scott, that's possible. Although based on that one image, it doesn't seem like there's too much going on. Andrew Scott still looks like Andrew Scott. Dune Part 3, again, the second one wasn't nominated, so I'm not going to predict this one. And then The Bride, flop movie, no one saw it, but again, you could still get nominated if you have enough there. And this one has like makeup on Christian Bale, so there's something with The Bride. What's next? Visual effects. This one's also very competitive. Project Hail Mary I have up front. There's a lot of interesting stuff with the visual effects. It's set in space. They have the Rocky puppet. So I think there's enough there to justify it winning. Dune 3, if they just don't want to step away from awarding Dune movies in this category, Dune 3 can just win. Either way, Paul Lambert would win. He's involved with both movies, and he's won plenty of times. With Blade Runner 2049, First Man, and both Dune movies. Yeah, those two I think are going to duke it out for the win. The Odyssey's absolutely getting nominated. There's enough there to justify it. So those three are absolutely happening. And then the last two slots, they could be anything. I have Spider-Man Brand New Day in because this movie is going to be super popular. And the visual effects actually look good. There isn't a ton of them compared to, say, what Avengers Doomsday is going to have. But there seems to be enough there, and they look good. Spider-Man No Way Home got nominated. So, although that may be because of the Doctor Strange stuff. But we'll have to see. I think due to the movie being popular, probably going to make $2 billion. It's already at $1 billion right now, so I just have it for that reason. I do think we can talk about Avengers Doomsday here too. This is going to be the ultimate test as to whether the Academy's truly done nominating superhero films in this category. Because the last 2 years they've snubbed Deadpool and Wolverine, although they didn't nominate any of the other Deadpool films. I think X-Men Days of Future Past is the only X-Men related thing that they've nominated before. They also snubbed Fantastic Four for Steps, which didn't even make the shortlist, which is weird. Thunderbolts didn't make the shortlist. But then you have a DC film like Superman, which did make the shortlist, but just didn't get nominated. You can maybe say that's a DC bias, but I don't know. I do think this year, though, they've nominated Avengers movies in the past. I've nominated 3 of them, actually. The first Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. Age of Ultron missed, and that was in another competitive year. I have Avengers Doomsday missing because the visual effects in the trailer don't look very good, although the movie's going to make $1 billion. Maybe it could be too immune to get snubbed. Look what happened with Rise of Skywalker. That movie wasn't received very well, but it still got nominated. So this one, again, I also don't think Doomsday is going to be received too well, but maybe it's just going to get nominated anyway. Although I do think the Academy's tastes have changed since 2019, so Doomsday may have a harder time getting nominated if it's not good. And the visual effects also don't look very good. Although we should give them time for them to hopefully update them before the movie comes out. But yeah, I'm gonna say Spider-Man has the edge because I think more people are gonna like it. It's gonna be more popular. People already love Brand New Day. But yeah, I think Spider-Man has the edge. But I guess they could nominate Avengers. Not sure if they would nominate them both, but I guess it's not impossible. I mean, it's not even impossible that neither of them get in. Number 5, I have Godzilla Minus Zero. The first Godzilla Minus One won this category. Although you can say it wasn't in a very competitive year. And you can say it was even on the cusp of getting nominated. It got no major precursor nominations. It was probably number 5. Although I do want to say, maybe because they gave the first Godzilla Minus One the win, maybe Godzilla is more on the Academy's radar now, and maybe voters are going to pay more. The visual effects voters are going to pay more attention to it. There also seems to be more going on, and I think people are going to be very passionate towards this. So maybe you can get in for that reason. Although if it's just too competitive, it's going to be way more competitive than when Godzilla Minus One was winning. But if it's too competitive, they can just swap it out for something. Wouldn't surprise me too much. Whale Fall, I do want to talk about. That looks very impressive visually. The sound and visual effects both look amazing. The whale looks great, the squid in it. I do wonder how much visual effects are going to be in it after the guy gets swallowed. There does seem to be a squid, so there's probably going to be that. But I do think Whale Fall just depends on whether or not people like it and whether or not it's good enough to get nominated. The Sheep Detective. Sheep Detectives I don't think is impossible. They do like to nominate photorealistic animals. I actually just watched this today. I thought it was very good, very fun. And the sheep look very impressive. They nominated stuff like Christopher Robin and the one and only Ivan. And movies like Babe won, so I don't think it's out of reach for them to nominate this. The End of Oak Street, they have The Dinosaurs. Jurassic World Rebirth just got nominated. But aside from that, I don't think they really cared to nominate dinosaurs too much. And then Wildwood just has to be on there because they nominated Kubo and the Two Strings. But I don't think they're going to nominate that. I removed, I guess sort of hesitantly, The Mandalorian and Grogu from my list. They do like to nominate the Disney Star Wars movies, although this movie was such a flop, and the visual effects aren't that great in it. There's some moments where they look kind of bad, so I think they're going to snub The Mandalorian and Grogu for sure. And again, I think the Academy's less lenient with blockbusters now than they were back in 2019 when Rise of Skywalker, and even in 2018 when Solo got nominated, another box office flop. Next we have sound. The Odyssey is gonna win. That Cyclops scream, that deafening Cyclops scream, is gonna be enough to give it the win. People may think it's not gonna win because Oppenheimer lost. Counter argument is that Dunkirk won both sound awards. The Dark Knight won a sound award. Inception won both sound awards. I think The Odyssey's winning this. Project Hail Mary is gonna get in. Dune 3. I mean, I guess if you want to say just like visual effects, they're never gonna not award a Dune movie. I guess you can say Dune 3 could win, but even then. Dune 2 could have lost sound to a complete unknown last year. I know in 2024. I know it didn't, but I guess but that seemed to be closer than some people thought. But Dune 2 still won that. But yeah, Dune 3 is gonna get nominated. I think La Bola Negra is getting nominated. And number 5 I have Behemoth because there's music in it. There's instruments. So I think that's gonna get nominated. Digger, if that's in Best Picture, I guess that could be a coattail. There'll be like missiles and stuff in it. Whale Fall, the sound design on that looks really impressive from the trailer. I guess if they want to go something a little more on the outside, like The Creator or Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, then they could do it. Michael, if that's in Best Picture, will get sound. Disclosure Day, I don't think so. And then the debut. And, oh yeah, another one that's not even on my visual effects list, Disclosure Day. I don't think the visual effects are good enough for that to get nominated. So, yeah. And the debut also has music. But original score, I think Ludwig's gonna win. And Ludwig Göransson's gonna win again for the Odyssey. The score is more minimalistic than his Oppenheimer score, or even his Black Panther and Sinner score, which he won for. But again, if they're just gonna award the Odyssey everywhere, score just makes enough sense. Project Hail Mary, I think, is absolutely getting nominated. The score is incredible. It's a traditional Oscar score, and Daniel Pemberton will probably get his first score nomination for this. He got a song nomination before, but this will be his first score nomination. Disclosure Day is getting nominated because it's John Williams. They never snubbed John Williams, so they're not going to do it this time. And then I think they just want to soak in every other opportunity to nominate John Williams because they know he's getting a little bit up there in age, and they're like, they're maybe thinking every single time they nominate him now could potentially be their last. I think that's why he gets nominated so many times. He's a legend though, and the Disclosure Day score is very good. La Bola Negra, probably another category for that movie. And then Wild Horse 9, Carter Burwell got him for the other two McDonough films, Three Billboards and Banshees. If Behemoth is on the outside, because I don't know if that's going to be eligible. If it is eligible, it might be number 2 or 3 for me. But I don't know, because there are a lot of composers with that. There's Alan Silvestri, James Newton Howard, Michael Giacchino is involved, Michael Abels. A lot of composers with Behemoth. I think there's 9 composers, which is crazy. So it may not be eligible. Digger, maybe the debut, is by Emile Mosseri, who was nominated for Minari. Dune Part 3. Dune 2 wasn't even eligible, so this may not even be eligible. Oh, Dune 1 won. And Wildwood, if that has a good score, maybe. And then our last category is Best Original Song. I don't know what's going to win. I Knew It, I Knew You from Toy Story 5 up front because it's Taylor Swift, and they always nominate the Toy Story song, so I think that one will get nominated. And maybe Taylor Swift, Star Power can maybe shoot it up to a win. La Playa from La Bola Negra I have getting nominated. I think that song's going to get in. Diane Warren's going to get something in. I don't know what song necessarily, but she'll get something. And everything else after that is just chaos. I have How to Write a Song Without You from Power Ballad getting in. This is a John Carney film. He got some of his songs nominated, like the song from Once won. The song from Begin Again got nominated. Although Sing Street didn't get any song nominations. Or Flora and Son. But this song's very good. So I think I actually listened to it. I think it's very good. So, and it sounds like something they would nominate. Especially over some of these that I have missing. So I have it in. And then number 5, if the debut has a song, maybe it could get in. It's a song about a theater production, so they may have something there. Runway from Devil Wears Prada 2 is by Lady Gaga and Doechii. Lady Gaga's been nominated a couple of times. Although the song's just not good, and I don't think it's one that the Oscars would necessarily gravitate towards. When I'm Home from the Odyssey by Travis Scott and James Blake and Ludwig Göransson. Again, I just think that song's really bad. Maybe I should give it another listen. Maybe it'll grow on me, but I just think that song's nothing. And even though they're gonna love the Odyssey, I'm just not sure if that's gonna be a part of that love. Although it is interesting, if I had the songs getting nominated, I'd have the Odyssey at 17 nominations, which would be the most ever. The Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping. I heard there may be songs in there from Billie Eilish and Noah Kahan. Billie Eilish is a 2-time Oscar winner, but they never nominated any Hunger Games movies for anything before. Save the Day from Hoppers by SZA. I'd like to see that nominated, but I don't think they're going to do it. And then Change the Love for Wuthering Heights by Charlie XCX. Don't think they'll nominate that. So yeah, those are my Oscar predictions for August. Thank you guys so much for watching. My next predictions are going to be in September after all the festivals. Venice, TIFF, Telluride. And a lot is probably going to change by then. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching though. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.